Part 32. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 311. Swallowed some clones. Su Xian's eyes lit up. Great tonic. The swallowing of the Dao forbidden technique is to completely refine the opponent, basically without waste, and the improvement of feeding back to oneself is also very large, far more than the experience energy gained by killing a monster. The Dao phantom behind him opened his mouth again. Awoo! Another big mouthful of tonic went into the stomach. The black fluid finally panicked. It violently wanted to break free from Lin Suying's suppression. Lin Suying was more violent than it. The Shuiyu sword intent was as vast as the sea, and it was suppressed so that it could not escape. The clone was eaten bit by Su Xian's Dao forbidden technique. Who are you? You are not a human from Blue Star. The black fluid roared. His original body is the source of the plague that can infect everything. Even a god-level strongman will be infected and mutated and controlled by it. This human swallowed its virus source abruptly. It also refined it into pure energy to feed itself. How is this possible? If it continues like this, it will really be swallowed up bit by bit. It had calculated everything, but it had not expected that such a weirdo would appear to deal with it. Awoo! At this time, Su Xian had become addicted to eating. Swallowed some clones. Without hesitation, he continued to bite other clones, which was just what he wanted. If he swallowed the whole black fluid in one bite, he would be blown up instead. Feeding back bit by bit in this way, it solved the problem of being blown up for him. After a period of stalemate, the black fluid began to break free in a self-destructive manner. It began to fight for its life. All the power of the gods in its body gathered together, as if it wanted to be destroyed here with the two of them. In this high-intensity confrontation, Lin Suying couldn't hold on first. The third rune on her arm gradually dimmed, and her power began to weaken. Seeing this, the black fluid immediately launched a swift attack, trying to take Lin Suying's life while she was weak. Even though Su Xian devoured its original clone. But it still felt that Lin Suying was the more difficult one. If it weren't for this human woman suppressing herself, the man would have no chance to devour her. Swish. Su Xian was also paying attention to Lin Suying's condition at all times. He flashed to her side first, hugged her, and avoided the attack of the black fluid. Suying, how is it? He could feel that after using the rune power 3 times in a row, Lin Suying's body was already very weak. If the 4th rune was used again, it would probably cost something unbearable. Kill it, and don't let it continue to recover. At this moment in the battle, Lin Suying had long since ignored other things. As long as the black fluid was killed and the 4th restriction was unlocked, it was worth paying some price. She was about to activate the last rune. What will happen if you use this power? Su Xian asked. Guess, Lin Suying smiled, between you and me, there must be someone who pays more, and that person should be me. Su Xian, it's my luck that you can help me get here. She broke free from Su Xian's arms, and the 4th rune lit up at the same time. What happens next is destined to happen. This is my mission, and I can't escape it. The water moon sword trembled at this moment. Lin Suying gently grasped the hilt. Mirror Lake unfolded. This time, the whole world turned into aqua blue, and the lake was still so calm and beautiful. There was no moon in the sky. But the full moon was reflected in the water. She turned her head and looked at Su Xian, with a smile on her lips. The soft sound echoed in Su Xian's ears. The moon in the water is not the moon in the sky. The person in front of you is the one you love. Mr. Su, this sword Suying dances for you. The water moon sword turned into a stream of light and flew away, but thousands of sword shadows were hanging upside down in the lake. Lin Suying pointed forward, and the thousands of sword shadows flew out, completely penetrating the black fluid. No matter how much it split, the sword shadow of the Shuiyu sword was also constantly changing, pinning it tightly. Su Xian saw it. That extremely sublimated sword has far exceeded the limit of the king. Countless blue lotuses bloomed. The darkness can only become the soil that nourishes the growth of blue lotuses. Whoosh! Su Xian's figure swept through the immobile fluids and headed for the place where the monster's life core was sealed. The soul blade condensed. Puff! The blade passed. The seal was instantly cut open, and Su Xian's mental power penetrated into it. Silver light flashed around him, and he finally caught the monster's life core. A fierce look flashed in his eyes. The dowdy phantom behind him roared. Facing such a vigorous life core, the dowdy phantom seemed to come alive, releasing a greedy breath, wanting to devour it completely. Swallow! Su Xian's mind moved. Dowdy phantom was allowed to bite towards the core of life. The painful feeling came. Every cell in the body turned into a mad beast, trying to tear Su Xian's body apart. Even the sea of consciousness seemed to be turned upside down at this moment. The soul seemed to be eaten by hundreds of millions of ants. Even the chaotic energy in the body was suppressed. The life source of this monster was terrifyingly strong. While paying a heavy price, Su Xian's second domain was also rapidly filled. 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers. 9 layers. Under the feedback of the Dowdy Forbidden Technique, his second domain was actually filled to the 9th level. This also proves that the true realm of several monsters in the 4 forbidden areas is definitely higher than the demigods of the 2 realms. But he didn't know how strong they were. No. The black fluid roared unwillingly. A force far beyond its own power burst out from it. It actually gave up resisting the Shuiyu sword shadow. Bang! The black fluid penetrated by thousands of sword shadows exploded, and the remaining fluid rushed towards Su Xian regardless of everything. The life core was devoured, and they could no longer kill Su Xian. But they still rushed towards Su Xian. Boom! Boom! Su Xian's heart was pounding. At that moment, it seemed as if he was being pulled by something, and he had seen that feeling in a strange forbidden technique performed by Daisy of the Dark Elf. At this moment, he finally understood the intention of the black fluid. The black fluid actually wanted to tie the life core and his lifeline together. The thousands of water moon sword shadows that were chasing after him stopped abruptly. Lin Suying also noticed something strange. If she stabbed with this sword, Su Xian would probably be seriously injured. I didn't expect that the black fluid was so cunning and hid such a sinister forbidden technique. Suying, kill. If it drags on, it is inevitable that something unexpected will happen again. Lin Suying's fighting state can't last too long. If there is another accident, all efforts will be in vain. Su Xian is not afraid of this method of mutual destruction. Okay. Lin Suying nodded. Without much hesitation, the water moon sword stabbed directly. The two of them have come all the way, and they have relied on tacit cooperation to get through the dangerous pass every time. This time, it is still the same. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 312. Thousands of sword shadows poured out. The black fluid was annihilated, and Su Xian's life breath became depressed. The dowdy phantom behind Su Xian was roaring. It endured the assimilation attack of the Shuiyu sword, and continued to devour the life core of the black fluid. It went back and forth between the two. Su Xian only felt that his soul and body were repeatedly crushed by a big millstone at the same time, and the pain almost made him numb. But his domain was also constantly solidifying. The domain is the foundation for building the inner world. The stronger the domain, the stronger the inner world. Su Xian's dual domains are extremely special. The two domains are activated at the same time, and they begin to condense the power of the world on their own. No. Impossible. The resentment of the black fluid roared, How can humans not be infected by the Black Plague? I am the incarnation of God, and I am the source of all viruses. It was unwilling. Even if it was ready for defeat, it could not accept such a way of failure. As the source of all viruses, it can infect everything in the world, including the power of the laws of heaven and earth on Blue Star. At this moment, it is used as a tonic. It is actually used as a tonic to nourish the human in front of it. Its lifelong pride has been used as a wedding dress for a human. How can it accept this? Is it over? Lin Suiying looked at Su Xian, whose consciousness was in a hazy state. She could feel the breath of the Black Plague gradually dissipating. The world of the Forbidden Land is slowly recovering. It's over. It's finally over. As long as Su Xian completely refines the life core of the source of the plague, the fourth restriction will be opened. She has done what she should do. She has no ability to intervene in the next thing. She looked at Su Xian, with an uneasy look on her face. She has been looking forward to this day, and she is also afraid of this day. Beside her, the Shuiyu sword has lost its former luster and become dim. Similarly, Lin Suiying has also lost her former strength and become ordinary. The price of activating the fourth rune is to exhaust her years of hard work and become an ordinary person. She sat next to Su Xian. She saw the jade pendant hanging on Su Xian's neck. Now this jade pendant has no effect on Su Xian, but for the two of them, it represents an extraordinary meaning. Su Xian, will you dislike me? Lin Suiying was worried. Su Xian is now in his prime and is a super genius who will definitely reach the top of the world in the future. And she has lost the identity and strength to match it. Even if she gave everything to Su Xian, at this time, she still couldn't help but think too much. Thinking of the future life, Lin Suiying was unwilling. The promise of growing old together in this life may not be realized. Various emotions floated in Lin Suiying's mind. After doing everything she should do and fulfilling the promise of saving the world, the firm will in her heart quietly dissipated. In the past, she was a female hero who wielded a sword to fight for the people of the world. Now, she is just a weak wife who misses her lover and wants to lean on her husband's shoulder. This is our agreement. When I go back, I will marry you. Let's get married and announce it to the world, so that everyone in the world knows that I, Lin Suiying, am your Su Xian's wife. The promise of the past echoed in his mind. She sat beside him and smiled bitterly. Su Xian, when you go back, you will definitely marry me, right? While Lin Suiying was thinking about all kinds of sorrows and emotions, Su Xian was also struggling in the misty ideology. This was the first time that Su Xian had such a huge improvement without relying on the system's return. This way of improvement was painful, and he almost lost his mind several times. The two realms were sublimated at this moment. Su Xian didn't even have time to characterize the second realm, and the inner world seeds had already begun to condense. With the two realms as the basic framework, the inner world seeds were slowly born. Boom! At that moment, Su Xian seemed to hear a roar from the depths of the chaotic universe. Indulging in the hazy and chaotic consciousness, there are some stars lighting up. The brightest starlight is the blue starlight closest to consciousness. A little further away, there is a group of green light, and the world power emanating from it is also very familiar. The edges of the blue-green starlight have already intersected together. There is a special force pulling between them. In the blue-green starlight, he vaguely saw a figure. She was imprisoned in the world where the two worlds merged, and seemed to be an inseparable part of the two worlds. Further away, there was a layer of light-colored film. Beyond the film, there is a wider chaotic space. In a very distant place, there are countless star clusters looming. Most of the star clusters are too far away, and can only be glimpsed occasionally, and their breath cannot be sensed at all. Only 3 groups of starlight have some connection with this chaotic space. Among the 3 groups of starlight, the smallest one is gray, completely lost its breath of life, and fell into a state of death. In the middle is a group of deep purple starlight. It is much larger than the blue and green starlight combined, and more brilliant, with a stronger breath of life. The starlight that is farthest away is the most brilliant. It is full of various colors of light, with red, purple and dark as the main tones, mixed with other mottled glimmers. In front of it, the blue and green starlight seemed extremely small, like the difference between a firefly and the bright moon. Even with the purple starlight, it was far less brilliant than it. Its life breath almost enveloped this chaotic universe. But even so, Su Xian's consciousness could still feel that it was incomplete. It should have been brighter and more gorgeous in the past. It seemed that it was the only one in this chaotic universe. Whoosh! At this moment, Su Xian's consciousness woke up a little from the hazy state. The blue star cluster first emitted the power of the world. Next was the green star cluster. Then came the purple star cluster in the distance. Finally, it was the mottled and mixed chaotic star cluster. The four seemingly completely different world powers, but in some aspects, there is a common origin. These world powers converged in the world seed he condensed. At the same time, those light clusters disappeared. Su Xian's consciousness gradually woke up from the hazy state, but in his consciousness, the gray light cluster that did not provide him with world power still existed. It was still in that dead silence. In the haze, Su Xian seemed to hear some kind of call. The voice made him feel familiar and strange at times, very contradictory, but very real. Under this traction, he suddenly found that there was a crack on the world seed he condensed. Woo! He heard the wailing sound from the dead star cluster. Then, a faint world power was emitted from the dead star cluster. Compared with the world power emitted by the previous four star clusters, it was so weak that it was inaudible, like a stream flowing into the vast ocean, which was dispensable. But its arrival caused a qualitative change in the world seed condensed by Su Xian. The crack on the seed was made up by this tiny force. Finally, the gray light group disappeared. Su Xian's consciousness was pulled back to the real world bit by bit, and this process seemed to have passed for thousands of years. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 313. While Su Xian and Lin Suying fought against the Black Plague. The battlefields of the two worlds have also undergone earth-shaking changes. The third line of defense of the Dragon Kingdom, the Third Legion. An emergency meeting is being held. On the main seat, King Chongming looked ugly. When he saw many injured cotters below, he felt even heavier. Everyone, the front line is losing ground one after another. In just half a month, many of our resource points have been lost. King Chongming was heartbroken. Not only the third line of defense, but also Blue Star's other lines of defense have been hit hard one after another. Lowland Star is well prepared this time. These days, King Chongming has collected statistics about the past half month. In all medium-sized and above encounters, Blue Star's chance of winning is less than 5%. If this situation continues, Blue Star will be completely defeated in less than 3 months. King Bunraku, the deputy leader of the mobile support group, said, according to the data observed by the Blue Star Alliance, it can be determined that the Lowland Star has built an extremely powerful war machine. They are called the Forgotten Legion, and they are built with the bodies of the powerful kings and marquises who died in the Battle of Lowland Star as the core. There are currently 2 types of Forgotten. The former are rare in number and extremely powerful. Their strength is at the top level of the King realm. Without the help of base formations, only a few kings in the entire Blue Star can fight against them. The other type of Forgotten one is not as strong as the former, weaker than the real Marquis realm, but far stronger than the Tianhe realm, and there are many of them. As for the specific data, it is still being compiled. King Bunraku's words made the soldiers feel uneasy. How to fight such a big gap? What makes them most desperate is that the other side is just a lifeless war machine, while Blue Star has to use living human lives to accumulate it. Such a war will be lost sooner or later. After all, Lowland Star's military strength is stronger than Blue Star's, and with these war machines, they seem to have no hope of winning. King Chongming felt uncomfortable, but he knew that as the marshal of the army, he could not be discouraged first. If even morale is gone, that's the real loss. Gentlemen, King Chongming said, until the Blue Star Alliance issues a war order, we will temporarily give up all competition for resource points on the outer defense line. What we have to do now is to retain our combat effectiveness and adhere to the formation of the third line of defense. As long as the formation is still there, we will definitely have hope of victory. 500 years ago, in such a difficult environment, the seniors of Blue Star protected the world for us, allowing the younger generations to live in peace. Today, we will not let down the inheritance of our predecessors. Even if we cannot end this war, we have the fire of inheritance that will last forever. One day, the descendants of future generations will rise up, completely end this war, and return Blue Star to a peaceful and prosperous age. At the end of the sentence, King Chongming almost shouted. At a moment like this, words like this are needed to boost morale. King Chongming issued an order, from now on, all commanders, please concentrate your forces and stick to the positions in various places to ensure that the formation is safe and sound. When the battle is in place and people are there, everyone dies in battle, do you understand? Clear. All the soldiers responded in unison. Everyone's heart is heavy. King Chongming, hasn't the Blue Star Alliance studied similar war machines for so many years? A leader asked. Of course the Blue Star Alliance is also working hard on it. King Chongming said, but in just 500 years, it is impossible for our alchemy level to be comparable to that of Lowland Star, and our technological level is only at a stalemate. Research on the God-killing bullet and Sky Eye system has already consumed half of the Blue Star Alliance's scientific research funds. The most important reliance of the war machine is alchemy and puppet control. The Blue Star Alliance still has a long way to go before catching up with the Lowland Star. King Bunraku also said, even if the 5 permanent members of the Security Council have war machines stationed there, it cannot be replicated and cannot be compared with the Lowland Star. Some commanders lamented, do we really have to fight those cold alchemy monsters with our flesh and blood? You have to fight even if you don't fight. King Chongming's heart burned with anger. It is impossible to place hope in alchemy, unless Blue Star can cultivate a semi-god level alchemist in a short time. And this alchemist can overcome the power of the puppet but cannot break through the restrictions of the feudal lord. That difficulty. He said no more. The soldiers also understood. It is useless to rely on that kind of thing, it is just a luxury hope. Below, Sun Xiaokong is also following the war instructions. After more than a year of training on the battlefields of the two realms, his strength has been infinitely close to the feudal realm. He felt like he could break through at any time. With just one high-intensity battle, he would be able to enter the realm of feudal lord. Originally, he thought that he could be proud of countless geniuses when he entered the feudal age at the age of less than 20 years old, but now he couldn't get excited at all. There is only a deep sense of powerlessness in my heart. In the face of a real large-scale war, the strong men in the feudal realm can't decide anything at all. He wants to become stronger. Even being crowned king is not enough. He wants to become a demigod, a true god. Heroes are made in troubled times, and now that the war is coming again, he will definitely be able to find his own opportunity in the war, and he must catch up with his teacher. Sun Xiaokong clenched his fists. Everyone, please return to your respective positions. From this moment on, I have only one order for you, stick to your respective positions. King Chongming gave an order. Hold on. Hold on. If you are in the battle, you will be there. If you are dead, you will be dead. The soldiers responded in unison and left. Walking on the road, Sun Xiaokong could see that the wounded were constantly being sent back to the base. Under the ravages of the war, the casualty rate of the entire legion was rapidly rising. He was so angry and hated himself for being powerless. Figures flashed through his mind. I don't know how the teacher and the others are doing. Sun Xiaokong thought. No one has been online in the mind space for a long time these days. Senior brother Mu, second senior sister, third senior sister, old 5, little 6, little 7, each of them was busy as if they were preparing for some work to save the world. Even the teacher was the same. By the way, I remember that the third senior sister left a message in the mind space last time saying that she wanted to develop a super baby. Among the teacher's disciples, only the third senior sister developed a secondary profession, and she was an alchemist. With the teacher's guidance, the third senior sister might be able to create a miracle. Soon, Sun Xiaokong laughed at himself and shook his head. Although third senior sister has good talent, she is still so young. How could she possibly achieve that level? 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 314. Return to the garrison point. Sun Xiaokong looked at the world outside the point, where professional teams kept withdrawing, and almost every team was injured and depressed. No one expected that the second total war would come so quickly. This blitzkrieg of Lulin Star destroyed the outer defense line of Blue Star in almost an instant. If there was no protective formation, I am afraid that the Blue Star army would have been defeated. Forgotten. War machine. Sun Xiaokong gritted his teeth. Is the gap in foundation ultimately irreparable? Woo. At this moment, a long cry sounded. Sun Xiaokong's face changed, and the armor was instantly possessed. How could it come so quickly? I thought Lulin Star would rest for a while after destroying the outer defense line, but I didn't expect it to come so quickly. His eyes looked outside the point. There were strong auras rising. 5 forgotten, 2 marquises. Just to deal with one array point, Lulin Star dispatched such a force, while the conventional configuration on the Blue Star side only has 1 marquis at 1 array point. Protect the defense crystal. Defend the array point to the death. A roar came from the camp, and the marquis guarding the array point also discovered the enemy attack at the first time. Each line of defense has more than 10 military array points. These array points are connected to the protective array, which is also one of the trump cards of Blue Star. If all the array points are broken, the enemy will attack the protective array directly. Behind the protective array is the entrance to Blue Star. Their parents, wives, children, relatives, and friends live there. That is the bottom line of everyone. It is also the belief of every soldier to defend here to the death. Boom. The Lulin Star Legion outside has launched a fierce attack on the array point. The defensive crystal emits a bright light. This means that he has entered the overload mode. As the attacking party, the losses of Lulin Star were much higher than those of Blue Star, but under the cover of the Forgotten, they still launched a fearless attack. This attack method made the Blue Star defenders scalp numb and fearful. Since Lulin Star dared to do this, it proved that the other party did not care about these losses at all and was determined to take down all the formation points. Kill. After only a few minutes of fighting, the monsters of Lulin Star had already rushed into the formation points against the attack of the defense crystal. With the blessing of the defense crystal, the guarding marquis of Blue Star could only barely hold back 2 monsters, but the 5 forgotten were difficult to resist. Sun Xiaokong blocked 1 by himself. The rest of the Tianhe realm soldiers needed at least 3 people together, plus the cover of the defense crystal to barely hold it back. Hold on. You must hold on. The bloody soldiers roared. As long as the defense crystal is defended, the formation points can be attacked continuously, and those forgotten cannot hold on. At this moment, as long as they hold on, they will win. The rescue signal has been sent, but no reinforcements have come. Other places must have been attacked at the same time. At this time, they can only rely on themselves and can only rely on unyielding faith to defend. Sun Xiaokang's special life domain covers the entire battlefield. He heard the roars of countless soldiers and felt the unwillingness, anger, and sadness of countless lives. These agitated emotions turned into a special energy to feed back to his body. Just a little bit, just a little bit. He was covered in blood and his fighting spirit was rising. He had never been so eager to break through. In his body, the sea of stars, the silver moon and the sun circled, faintly forming the momentum of heaven and earth. The Milky Way penetrated every part of his body. He felt it. The power of the law of heaven and earth, which is a higher level than natural energy. The power of the law is condensing bit by bit. While fighting, he compressed the power of the law and absorbed the fighting spirit to build his own domain. On the Dingai stick, the seal imposed by Su Xian was finally lifted. The vast sea of fighting spirit swept the battlefield in an instant. In Sun Xiaokang, the soldiers seemed to see the figure holding a long stick and fighting against heaven and earth. Dingai stick. Shake the universe. Boom. Under the nourishment of endless fighting spirit, the power of the law was compressed, and Sun Xiaokang finally completed the construction of the domain framework. In this battle, he finally became a marquis. Breakthrough. Xiaokang broke through. Times make heroes, I know Xiaokang will never be buried. The aura of the marquis covered the whole field. The soldiers on the Blue Star side were excited. Sun Xiaokang's breakthrough at this moment was undoubtedly a great encouragement to the soldiers, driving up morale. Sun Xiaokang, who broke through the Marquis realm, had unparalleled fighting spirit. The vast fighting spirit could even affect the surrounding soldiers and make them fall into an extremely fanatical state. This was a qualitative change in the special life field. Kill! Sun Xiaokang roared. He blasted out with a stick, and the Dingai stick that once disrupted the battlefields of the two worlds finally showed its style again. With just one stick, a forgotten one was smashed to pieces. After all, the forgotten one was not a real marquis, and had no domain, so he was even more vulnerable in front of a genius marquis like Sun Xiaokang. And the bloodthirsty battlefield was Sun Xiaokang's best domain. With red eyes, he launched the most fierce counterattack. At this moment, he was the god of war. Every time he killed with a stick, he would harvest the lives of several races. Retreat! Retreat quickly! Lulan Star had not expected that someone would break through the Marquis realm on the battlefield, and a Marquis with such terrible fighting power just after breaking through. They had no chance of winning the battle within the attack range of the defensive crystal. Stop them! The Marquis commander guarding the formation point also knew that this was a good opportunity to annihilate the enemy. The Forgotten Legion was not endless. Killing one less would make one less. How could such an opportunity be missed? Sun Xiaokang held the Dingai stick. With the blessing of the semi-god level skills and top legendary quality weapons, no soldier on Lulan Star could be his opponent. It took only a few breaths. 4 of the 5 forgotten were broken. The last one was not spared. Too weird. The Marquis of Lulan Star in the two domains saw this and fled frantically. The oppression given to them by this newly promoted Marquis was too strong, and the endless fighting spirit made them tremble. It was the first time they had seen someone who became stronger and stronger as he fought. They felt the figure behind them getting closer and closer. Boom! A stick blasted out, and they were both knocked back at the same time. Just after breaking through, he had the upper hand against 2. After all, one of them was a 3rd-rank Marquis and the other was a 4th-rank Marquis, but they were suppressed by a newly promoted Marquis. Even if it was because of the cover of the enemy's defense crystal, they could not accept such a result. With the counter-attack, the Lulangsing team was almost completely wiped out. The three Marquises fought together. Light and shadow flickered between heaven and earth. Under the nourishment of fighting spirit, Sun Xiaokong was better after all. Relying on the advantages of weapons and skills, he killed the two Marquises of Lulangsing. At the same time, the other array points in the distance also had a fighting atmosphere rising. "I'll go to support." Sun Xiaokong left a word and rushed towards other array points. The only thing he wanted to carry out in his life was the belief of fighting to the end. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 315. Xiaokong. The other soldiers at the position wanted Sun Xiaokong to take a rest, but the latter had long since disappeared. Looking at the corpses of hundreds of soldiers on the ground and the broken limbs all over the ground, the surviving soldiers felt heavy. If Sun Xiaokong hadn't made a breakthrough on the battlefield, the outcome of this battle would have been unknown. The most important thing is that not every position has soldiers like Sun Xiaokong, and the situation in other positions will only become more severe. At the same time, Sun Xiaokong had arrived at other positions. Facing Lulangsing's team, he killed them without hesitation. The moment Lulangstar's team saw Sun Xiaokong, they were stunned for a moment. How could the Blue Star Army still have room for the support of the powerful feudal princes in this state? Shouldn't every position have to take care of itself? The soldiers stationed in the defense crystal also discovered Sun Xiaokong's figure. It's Sun Xiaokong, the little war god of the 2nd Combat Battalion. He broke through the feudal lordship. Brothers, cover Sun Xiaokong and kill the enemy. Why is this guy so fierce? Seeing Sun Xiaokong, who had broken through the feudal lord and came to support him, the soldiers became excited. They have not lost yet. Under the general trend, a genius will rise. In the first war between the two worlds, countless talented seniors emerged and took up the banner of the human race. Same now. Blue Star will not lose. Someone always stands up. That flag fluttering in the wind will always stand. With the help of Sun Xiaokong, the balance of combat power was broken, and the forgotten ones fell one after another. The spirit of countless warriors to rise up in desperate situations, the courage to face death, and the belief to protect the world with all their strength. These are nourishing his special area of life. Similarly, the special life realm is also feeding back the soldiers on the battlefield. The appearance of Sun Xiaokong has affected the entire war. It was as if he alone was an army. In this fierce battle, his domain was quickly filled, and he had already thought about the characteristics of his domain. There are only two words: fight. He was born to fight. The same is true in his field. Under the leadership of Sun Xiaokong, the Lulangstar army at this position was wiped out again. After 2 consecutive positions failed, Lulangstar finally received the message. Farther away in the core battlefield, the kings of Lulangstar received the message. Is there a feudal lord who breaks through on the battlefield? Estimated combat power of 7th level feudal lord? He seems to be a genius. Go and deal with it, Swiluo. Go back as soon as possible. This time targeting the 3rd line of defense. A total of 3 kings and a high-level forgotten person were dispatched from Lulangstar. They didn't dare to let all the forgotten ones attack together. After all, the Blue Star Alliance still had the kind of destructive means of killing each other. If they all gathered together and were taken over by Blue Star, the entire plan would be in vain. A comprehensive attack is the safest way. In this way, even the strong men of the Blue Star Alliance mobile support group cannot take care of everything. There are always surprises. They also considered the situation before going out to fight. But as long as there are no problems in the core battlefield, other positions will not be able to make waves. Genius made a prince. In a war of this scale, what does a feudal prince mean? Then I'll go. Among the 3 kings of Lulangstar, a petite figure stepped out. She had an extremely childish face and looked like a 4 or 5-year-old human girl. When she smiled, she showed 2 pointed fangs, which was quite strange. Her skin is all red. If you look closely, you can see that there is something moving on the skin. This is the king of Lulanstar's third line of defense this time, the Blood Basket from the Blood Clan. Although the Blood Basket was only in the first stage of the realm fruit realm of the feudal king, she could kill a feudal prince who had just broken through at will, and she quickly moved towards the distance. Continue to suppress the core formation. Swallow left, and the other kings of Lulanstar suppressed the core formation of the third base with all their strength, preventing it from supporting other positions. In the formation, the 2 crown princes, King Chongming and King Wenel, also resisted with all their strength. Without a blood basket, their pressure was suddenly reduced, and they were able to deliver more energy to other positions. They also know that it is no longer them who decide the direction of this war. When the powerful demigods do not take action, the top beings such as King Wuan, the Great Demon King, the King of Thousand Thunders, the Crazy Lion King, and the Holy Logo King are the ones who have the best chance of overturning the battle situation. Because only they can destroy the high-level Forgotten in Lowland in a very short period of time. As for ordinary kings like them, all they can do is hold on. To hold is to win. At this time, Sun Xiaokong had cleared one position and continued to rush towards other positions for reinforcements. Suddenly, he raised his head and looked at the sky in the distance. There was a blood rainbow shooting towards here, and the speed was terrifying. Before he could see it clearly, the blood rainbow was already approaching. King level. Sun Xiaokong's expression changed. He didn't expect that the king of Lulanstar would come so quickly. With his current level, he had no chance of winning against a strong king of Star, so he could only run away. Since the Blue Star Alliance's king has not rushed to help, it proves that he has been held back and he can only rely on himself. Thinking of this, Sun Xiaokong turned around and ran away. Only by rushing into the position and with the help of the defense crystal, could he hold it for a period of time and wait for reinforcements to arrive. Want to escape? A burst of sweet laughter came. You'd better stay. If you go back, it will be difficult for me to report to you. The blood rainbow fell, blocking Sun Xiaokong's way. Looking at the red-skinned little loli in front of him, Sun Xiaokong didn't think she was cute at all, and the chill on his feet rushed straight to his head. Whoosh! Blood Basket waved his fingers lightly, and the blood on the battlefield gathered and turned into a huge blood monster. At the same time, countless blood arrows locked Sun Xiaokong, leaving him nowhere to escape. Blood Basket giggled, "What a cute human, if it was before, I would definitely catch you and play with you, but unfortunately I can only kill you now." As soon as the voice fell, the blood arrow suspended in the air shot out. Facing an enemy with a huge gap in realm, Sun Xiaokong did not sit and wait for death. He instantly burst out all his strength and the ultimate fighting spirit. Bang! The blood arrow fell. The dingai stick danced wildly, blocking one blood arrow after another, but some blood arrows still passed through Sun Xiaokong's defense and pierced his body. The blood monster even punched him into the ground. Just one move. The gap between being crowned a king and being crowned a marquis was fully revealed. Even if Sun Xiaokong was a genius, he could not defeat the king without the help of special external forces. Oh! He didn't die. The blood basket was slightly surprised. What a pity. She tapped her fingers again, and more blood arrows condensed and fell. This time. He should die, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 316. Seeing that the blood arrow was about to completely obliterate Sun Xiaokong, who was smashed into the ground and unable to move. Boom! A figure suddenly fell from the sky. He waved his hand casually, and the blood arrow was scattered with the palm. Ahem. Looking at the figure descending in front of him, Sun Xiaokong breathed a sigh of relief and climbed up with difficulty, holding his chest. Are you okay, fourth child? The one who came to the rescue was none other than Lao Wu Miao Tian. After installing the violent plague limiter, he traveled around the battlefields of the two realms, looking for opportunities to practice, and occasionally killed some scouts from the Lowland Star. But the advent of all-out war forced him to return to defense. Not long after the war started, he received a message from Lao Si in his mind space, and rushed to the third line of defense as soon as possible. Fortunately, we arrived in time. Lao Wu, you came at the right time, just in time. Sun Xiaokong smiled bitterly. His orifices were bleeding from the beating and his injuries were serious. The blow from the King Sealing Powerful One was really uncomfortable. Bawang King. Seeing Miao Tian, Shueluo's expression changed slightly. His reputation for the battle of reversing the title of king was too loud. You know me too. Miao Tian pulled out the giant sword from his back and sneered, it seems that my false reputation as a reverse king can last a lifetime. If it were before, Miao Tian might really be proud. But after seeing the teacher's methods, he only felt ashamed. This kind of thing is really nothing to brag about. Teacher, killing the king with the title of lord is as easy as killing a chicken. Hee, your blood should taste delicious. Shueluo quickly adjusted her mentality. They were all crowned kings. What did she have to be afraid of? What's more, Lowland Star has an absolute advantage at this time. In the face of the general trend, what do the mere 8 desolate kings mean? You can come and try. Miao Tian also looked at Shueluo with a smile. With his current state, he was not afraid of facing the second stage of the realm master state of becoming a king, and suppressing Shueluo was a piece of cake. Their eyes collided. The next moment, a 1,000-meter-tall blood giant rose from the ground behind the blood basket. It suddenly rushed towards Miao Tian. The giant sword in Miao Tian's hand swung forward, and a huge wave shot out across it, scattering the blood giant with one blow. Its momentum was like a rainbow, unparalleled in the 8 wastelands, and its body was close to the blood basket. Miao Tian possesses the Bawang War God body, but it is completely different from Sun Xiaokong's fighting holy body. The holy body of fighting was born for fighting. The more it fights, the braver it gets, relying on its rising fighting spirit to strengthen itself. It represents unyielding will and tenacity. Fight to the extreme in one battle after another, and fight to the end. The Bawang War God's body is different. What is needed to control the Bawang War God body is momentum, invincible momentum. Even if the enemy is stronger than you still have to have an invincible heart that makes you the only one in the world. Even if you fail, you must see through the failure. If his mood is damaged due to setbacks, half of the 8 desolate god of war body will be destroyed. Miao Tian was like this in the past. He was almost useless. Fortunately, he was able to live a new life and have a happy family. His mentality had already changed. Now he truly has an invincible heart. It is not invincible in terms of fighting spirit, but an invincible mentality that will not be defeated by any setbacks. You can deal with everything calmly. The two exchanged blows, and with just a few moves, Miao Tian used his overwhelming momentum to swat the blood basket away. When the latter saw this, a sinister smile flashed across his childish face. He didn't dare to fight anymore and immediately ran away. Looking at the blood rainbow going away, Miao Tian did not chase it. He also knows how difficult the high-level Forgotten Legion of Star Lowland is. If they meet that kind of ultimate killing machine that is not afraid of death, he will not be able to deal with it. The most important thing at the moment is to help the Third Army hold the line of defense. In other places, strong people should be coming to support them one after another. Fourth, that's good. I've broken through the title of Marquis. Miao Tian gave a thumbs up. If it had been in the past, Sun Xiaokong would have definitely caused a disturbance in the professional circle if he broke through to the feudal realm at less than 20 years old. But when the war came, the officials had no time to care about this. He knew it in his heart. Their disciples were able to break through so quickly, and the teacher took most of the credit, including himself. If it weren't for the teacher, it would probably take a long time for these disciples to reach their current attainments. Sun Xiaokong smiled helplessly. So what if you become a marquis? In this kind of war, the role I can play is too small. Miao Tian patted his shoulder and comforted him. You don't have to belittle yourself. If you hadn't broken through, I'm afraid the third line of defense would have been in danger. You have accomplished many key things. The victory of the war was dependent on the dedication of every soldier. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Sun Xiaokong nodded. It seems that I still have to learn from you in terms of mentality. I am indeed too impetuous. By the way, have you heard from your teacher these days? Speaking of Su Xian, Miao Tian's expression became much more solemn. No, I came here to meet you because I wanted to ask about this matter. There has been no news from the teacher for more than a month. Something must have happened. In the past, when we left messages in the mind space, the teacher would reply when he saw it. Sun Xiaokong began to worry. Yes. Miao Tian looked at the flames of war in the distance. The war has reached such a tragic level, and the teacher's temperament will definitely not sit idly by. Not only the teacher was missing, but also the teacher's wife, senior brother Mu, second senior sister, and third senior sister. All of them were silent. Wait a little longer. Both of them were helpless. The teacher's whereabouts were uncertain, and he didn't tell them where he went, so they had no way to find him. Fortunately, there was still breath in the mind space. This meant that the teacher and the others were fine, but they didn't enter the mind space for some special reasons. Perhaps he was practicing some secret technique in seclusion. The two of them exchanged some ideas, and Sun Xiaokong's injuries gradually recovered, and he was about to go to the core of the base for support. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. Then the earth shook. The ancient and vast breath poured down from the sky, almost instantly covering the entire battlefield of the two worlds. Boom. One of the four poles, the direction of the forbidden infinite altar, a huge column of light rose into the sky and shot far into the sky above. The armies of the two worlds who were in battle saw the sky-high light column and were stunned. What a terrifying breath! It was as if an ancient beast that could devour the world was roaring. Is this a hidden trick of Lowland Star? Is this a hidden trick of Blue Star? Both sides had the same doubts at this moment. Boom! Amidst the doubts, another beam of light shot up from the direction of the Forbidden Land's Wailing Cave. The two beams of light finally converged at the same location. The countless lives below vaguely saw a special space in the center of the sky, and with the convergence of the two beams of light, that space gradually appeared. Retreat! Retreat quickly! The Lowland Star army was stunned. Such changes in the four forbidden areas were obviously not Lowland Star's means. The aura of the beam of light was too vast. In front of it, the king-level strongmen were as small as ants. The Blue Star Alliance was also confused. Especially the sudden withdrawal of Lowland Star made them even more panicked. Could it be? Lowland Star was preparing for a sweeping destructive attack. Using the ultimate secret technique to instantly destroy the entire Blue Star Alliance's 17 lines of defense. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 317. The incident in the Forbidden Land shocked countless lives in the two worlds, including those demigods who had not yet taken action but had been watching the battlefield between the two worlds. They looked at the sky above the battlefield between the two worlds. The ancient breath was reviving, and the transcendent existence above the demigods was about to awaken. Some demigods in the two worlds had heard of the legend in the past, but they could not verify it. Is it finally coming now? Boom! When the beam of light shot out of the Sorrow Cave converged on the sky. Another beam of light shot out from the absolute frozen soil. Finally, the source of the plague also shot out a huge beam of light. The four beams of light that soared into the sky illuminated the entire battlefield between the two worlds, and countless lives in the battlefield between the two worlds felt an invisible suction force. The looming space above the sky finally appeared. There was a figure bathed in golden light. It seemed to be a divine fox with 9 tails. The divine fox turned into a human form. She walked barefoot on the sky. All life held its breath, waiting for her next move. Blue Star, Qingzhou City. Next to the Lin family, the ancestral home of the Shuiyu king, an old woman who was selling buns suddenly raised her head and looked at the sky above the battlefield between the two worlds. Finally awake. A smile appeared on the old woman's face. I have repaid all the favors that should be repaid, and it's time for me to leave. Although this world is interesting, it is not home after all. She counted on her fingers and sighed, and my little apprentice is also a miserable person after all. We are master and apprentice. I will give you one last chance. The old woman waved her hand gently, and the cane in her hand turned into a stream of light and fell into the ancestral home of the Lin family. Let's go. She walked towards the sky step by step and disappeared into the horizon. Dingai King City, Shuiyu Palace. Moira also felt the movement of the battlefield between the two worlds. You are finally back. As the peak powerhouse of the elves, the existence ranked in the top 3 in the combat power of the two worlds, Moira, who is named Destiny, has always been absolutely confident in front of outsiders. At this moment, she is like a little girl who is looking forward to her elders coming home. She looked into the house. Since a month ago, Xylee has fallen into a deep sleep. But the realm of the sleeping Xylee has been breaking through. In just a few days, he broke through the threshold of being a marquis, and now he has reached the realm of being a king. And the breath is still increasing. Moira is looking forward to it. You are back, this war should be over, right? Those invaders will definitely pay the price. May you bring us true freedom and peace. Blue Star, a special space. The demigods gathered here. Faced with the sudden change, the demigods were a little confused and didn't know what happened. They looked at the figure above the sky of the battlefield between the two worlds, and dared not breathe. After waking up, the person sat there without speaking or making any movements. They didn't know whether the terrifying existence that suddenly descended was a friend or foe. But they could guess that the fusion of Blue Star and Lulin Star must be related to this person. Long Yuan sat alone in the corner. When he saw the light beams emitted from the 4 forbidden areas, he vaguely guessed something. There was once a senior who taught him, and because of the senior's guidance, he was able to become a demigod, and the senior had only one request for him. That was to let him support Lin Suiying unconditionally. Therefore, when King Chongming reported to the Blue Star Alliance and impeached King Shuiyu, he used all his connections to suppress the matter and did not allow anyone to disturb Lin Suiying's actions. Even though he didn't know what the action was. But he knew very well that the senior must have a reason for doing this, and it was impossible to harm the human race, because with the senior's ability, it would be easy to destroy Blue Star. That senior might be the real god. I just don't know why that senior didn't solve everything himself, but wanted to cultivate a Lin Suiying. The reason behind it is not something he can explore. When he saw the light column rising from the 4 forbidden areas, Long Yuan knew that Lin Suiying's action was successful. Perhaps Lin Suiying was trying to save this existence. The secret of the fusion of the two worlds may be revealed. He was looking forward to it, but also afraid. No one knows what will happen next. The one who woke up is on the side of Blue Star, so what about Lulin Star? The ancient legends of Lulin Star recorded many mysterious and powerful gods. Are those gods also carrying out some recovery plans? If that moment comes, both Blue Star and Lowland Star will suffer. Countless lives can only become ants in the game of gods. The battlefield between the two worlds, the source of the forbidden plague. Su Xian woke up from his sinking consciousness. When he woke up again, he felt that there was an extra chaotic and mottled world seed in his body. This means that he is only one step away from becoming a king. The outside world was shaking. Su Xian also saw the huge beam of light rising from the four extremes forbidden land. Are you awake? A weak voice came from behind. Su Ying. Su Xian turned his head and saw Lin Su Ying, whose lips were pale and whose body was weak. He had an ominous premonition in his heart and sensed it slightly. Lin Su Ying's cultivation had dissipated. He became an ordinary person. Is this the price of activating the fourth rune? Will you dislike me? Lin Su Ying was lying in Su Xian's arms, speaking softly, with a hint of uneasiness in her expression. Do you still remember what you said to me? Su Xian asked. Which sentence? If there is only one person left in this world who believes in you, that person will definitely be me. That. Su Xian held her hand. Then let's go back now, get married, and announce to the world that you, Lin Su Ying, are my wife, Su Xian. Lin Su Ying nodded heavily. The two of them looked at the four pillars of light rising into the sky at the same time. Su Ying, did the senior you mentioned really end all this? Lin Su Ying's eyes were firm. I will definitely do it. Su Xian joked, anyway, we have done everything we should do. Even if she can't save the world, your husband and I can. Looking at the strong and confident Su Xian, Lin Su Ying felt a little worried again. Am I just an ordinary person from now on? And you? Woohoo. Before she could finish speaking, her soft red lips were blocked. Su Xian, who finally regained his family status, was all smiles. What ordinary person? My wife is a hero who saves the world. He raised his head high and looked proud. In this world, what could be more proud of than marrying a hero who saves the world as his wife? He lifted Lin Su Ying up in his arms. My wife protects the world. I protect my wife. From this moment on, I, Lao Su, will be the real soft rice king. Our old Su family is glorious. In her arms, Lin Su Ying was amused by Su Xian's remarks, her branches trembled with laughter, and the melancholy in her heart was swept away. Under the brilliant golden light, the two people gradually drifted away. Even though all her cultivation was gone, Lin Su Ying felt more relaxed than ever before. In this world, what could be happier than being married to a love that goes both ways? 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 318. The figure on the sky of the two worlds has been sitting for a long time. The light beams emitted from the four forbidden areas gradually dimmed, and turned into dust and dissipated under the gaze of countless people. The person finally stood up and walked towards the direction of Lowland Star. When she stood up, the demigods of Lowland Star rushed to the sky as if they were facing a great enemy, blocking the sky boundary of Lowland Star. The energy that pulls the two worlds is indeed her. The demigods of Lowland Star have not participated in the war for many years, but have been guarding the sky boundary, which is the upper space of the battlefield between the two worlds. This space connects the world origins of the two worlds and is related to the survival of the two worlds. In the first battle 500 years ago, the demigods of Lowland Star wanted to cross the sky boundary in one fell swoop and directly take the world origin of Blue Star, but were blocked by a mysterious force. That mysterious force even wanted to devour the origin of Lowland Star in turn, forcing them, the demigods, to stay here. They have never understood where this power across the sky came from. Now it seems that it was the work of the powerful being in front of them. For some unknown reason, this being was restricted here, but now he has broken free from the restrictions. Can they stop him? The demigods were uneasy. The thing they were most worried about finally happened. Before, they still had a glimmer of hope that the mysterious restriction was a neutral existence. Now it seems that the other party is clearly on the side of the human race on Blue Star. He walked forward step by step, with a panicked majesty in every step. Your Majesty. You are not a human, why do you want to help Blue Star? The demigod of the Dragon Clan asked. They all saw that there were 9 white furry tails behind the mysterious strongman, which meant that she was a fox. There are also foxes on Lulin Star, although the strongest fox has only 3 tails. But no matter what, it is a close bloodline, right? Why did this mysterious strongman want to get close to the human race? He approached step by step without answering a word. Your Majesty, do you have to fight us to the death? Although you are very strong, you may not be able to kill all of us. The demigods of Lulin Star all burst out with magnificent momentum, and the torrents intertwined and gathered together, causing the entire sky to shake. The lives of the 2 worlds below all felt the incomparable strong sense of oppression. They could not see the scene above the sky, but they could feel the collision of 2 auras. The 2 auras were so strong that even the title-level strongmen could be easily annihilated. Everyone, swear to protect Lulin Star to the death. The demigods of Lulin Star also knew that they could not reach an agreement, and each of them took a life-threatening attitude. Faced with such a strong man, they, who were once arrogant and high above, also felt cold all over, and the meaning of death shrouded their hearts. Het. The mysterious strong man laughed. There was undisguised contempt in her laughter. You bunch of dirty reptiles, are you qualified to protect Lulin Star? She raised her bare hands and slapped the border of the sky of Lulin Star through the air. The huge phantom of the 9-tailed fox appeared and suppressed it. The demigods of Lulin Star attacked together, each showing their magical powers, but the 9-tailed fox was obviously better. It just flicked its tail lightly and blocked all the magic. Bang! The 2 sides collided. The demigods of Lulin Star were shocked and retreated together, their faces horrified. The other side actually suppressed their 72 demigods with their own strength. The 9-tailed fox was relentless, and its 9 tails continued to grow, covering the sky and the sun, and bombarded the demigods of Lulin Star. The void shook, and the laws trembled. The origins of the worlds of the 2 worlds were rolling. Such a war has affected the core of the 2 worlds. The 72 demigods of Lulin Star resisted with difficulty, but were still beaten back step by step. If this continues, when that existence breaks through the sky boundary and directly takes the life source of Lulin Star, they will lose completely. Relying on the strength of the Forgotten Legion, the Lulin Star army sang all the way, and originally thought that it could force its way into the Blue Star within 3 months. But they didn't expect to encounter such a change at this moment. They were unwilling. Ask for help. Go and ask for the God's messenger. Facing such a strong enemy, the only savior they could think of was the God's messenger. The eyes of the 2 demigods of the Dark Elves and the Mechanical Life clan flickered. Among the 10,000 races of the entire Lulin Star, only they could pray to the God's messenger. But the power of the God's messenger alone may not be able to stop the 9-tailed fox. Unless the God's messenger comes in person. Daisy, pray to the God's messenger. Tuluo, sense the great God's messenger. The 2 demigods of the Dark Elves and the Mechanical Life clan sent a message, asking the patriarchs of the 2 major tribes to ask for the power of the God's messenger. At this time, the 9-tailed fox was already close to the sky boundary of Lulin Star. Many demigods of Lulin were also injured in the battle. They could only hold out for a while, and that person would completely kill them. By then, the origin of the world of Lulin would be destroyed, and they would no longer have any means of resistance. The ancestral land of the Dark Elves? Daisy received the message from the demigod. She also felt the fierce battle in the sky, but she had no right to intervene in a battle of that level. Even the demigods can't resist that mysterious strong man. Daisy's uneasy emotions were stirring. She remembered the great prophecy she had performed last time. In that prophecy, she predicted that the defection of the elves would lead to a change in the entire war situation, but she didn't know where this would start. She felt that this matter was closely related to Su Xian. The last plan to encircle and suppress the Eternal Forest was disrupted because of Su Xian's interference. Unfortunately, it was useless to regret now. The only thing to do was to pray to the God's messenger again, hoping that the God's messenger could help them solve this crisis, otherwise Lulan Star would be in a catastrophe. Mechanical City. The patriarch of the Mechanical Life clan, Tu Luo, also received the message from the demigod. He quickly came to the core of the Mechanical City. There, a chaos stone connected to the alien space was suspended. This chaos stone was their only means of contacting the God's messenger. The huge mechanical body slowly knelt down, making a series of roars. Great God's messenger, your devout believers are about to be shrouded in disaster, please protect us. The people of the Mechanical Life clan will always believe in you. The prayer ended. Daisy and Tu Luo did not know when the power of the God's messenger would come, nor did they know how to take the initiative to contact the God's messenger, so they could only wait quietly for the God's messenger's response. If the God's messenger ignored them, they could only sit and wait for death. They were worried. They didn't even know if the enemy in the sky was stronger than the God's messenger. His power was beyond their cognition. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 319. Outskirts of the Forbidden Area. Su Xian carried Lin Suiying on his back and strolled among the 10,000 green mountains. His eyes looked at the distant sky from time to time. The fighting there was very intense. The entire battlefield of the two worlds was affected, and even some marginal areas had collapsed. Is that senior fighting with the demigods of Lulan Star? On his back, Lin Suiying pressed against Su Xian and asked softly. She had lost all her cultivation, and even the roots of her cultivation were scattered. She could not sense any spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and naturally could not see the battle in the distant sky. Yes. Su Xian smiled and said, that senior is really powerful. He actually forced the entire Lulan Star to retreat by himself, but... what's wrong? She doesn't seem to be a human. Su Xian also saw the phantom of the nine-tailed fox. But now she is fighting for the human race. Lin Suiying actually hadn't seen the true face of that senior, but she knew that the senior must be on the side of the human race. Otherwise, Blue Star would have been destroyed in the first battle. Su Xian asked again, what about Xyli? The two were most worried about Xyli. There must be some kind of connection between Xyli and that senior, maybe Xyli is really that senior's biological daughter. Su Xian called Xyli in the mind space, but got no response. He could feel that Xyli was in a deep sleep, and compared with a few months ago, Xyli's mental strength was much stronger. It was already on par with the powerful king. The awakening of that senior really had a great impact on Xyli. Speaking of Xyli, Lin Suiying was sad. She had already regarded Xyli as her own daughter, but would Xyli recognize her after knowing the truth? Let's go back quickly. After finishing everything, Lin Suiying only had home in her heart. Okay. Su Xian smiled and no longer paid attention to the battle in the sky. Whether it was a win or a loss there, he could not control it, just wait for the result quietly. Even if that senior could not kill all the demigods of Lulan Star, Blue Star was safe and sound. Now he just needs to wait for the senior to return, tell the truth, and reveal Xyli's life story. Wuxin. Su Xian roared into the valley. The echo floated in the mountains. After a while, a black stream of light flashed over, and it was Wuxin carrying the coffin. At this time, Wuxin had put on a mask, and his aura was much stronger than before. "Come with me." Su Xian nodded to Wuxin, who followed silently without saying a word. Walking on the road, Su Xian separated part of his consciousness into the mind space and read the messages left by the disciples in the mind space. The first message was left by the third brother. He said that he was going to develop a big treasure, and then there was no news. It is estimated that he was studying some alchemical substances. The one who left the most messages was Sun Xiaokong, who basically reported all the events in the battlefield between the two worlds. The Forgotten Legion. When he saw this word, Su Xian frowned. Is the strength of a high-level Forgotten comparable to that of a top-ranked king? The strength of an ordinary Forgotten is below that of a Marquis and above that of a Tianhe. There are many of them, and roughly speaking, there are at least more than 15,000 of them. Su Xian did not expect that the war situation would suddenly become so severe. If it were not for the awakening of that senior, Blue Star's chances of winning would be slim, and it might even be forced into a desperate situation. Fortunately, it is safe and sound for now. With the awakening of that senior, both worlds temporarily stopped the war and retreated to one side, and the Blue Star military also got a chance to rest. An hour later, Su Xian came to the outskirts of the Dragon Country 3rd Legion base. At this time, King Chongming, King Wenel, King Bawang, Sun Xiaokong, and a group of marquee leaders were discussing the war plan. Suddenly, the three kings stood up at the same time and looked towards the direction outside the base. Marquis Qinji. Teacher. The three flew to the outskirts of the base at the same time. King Chongming and King Wenel were even more confused. As soon as the mysterious strong man appeared above the sky, Su Xian came back, but he had not been seen before. Is there any connection between the two? That is. The two saw from a distance that Lin Suiying, who looked weak and had no cultivation, was on Su Xian's back, and they were even more shocked and rushed over quickly. "Qinji, how, what happened?" King Chongming asked in confusion. "King Shuiyu." Although he had a dispute with King Shuiyu before, he also knew that King Shuiyu was the key training target of the Blue Star Alliance and the pillar of the future Dragon Country. He naturally didn't want King Shuiyu to get into trouble. "It's okay." Lin Suiying smiled. "There will be no King Shuiyu in the future, only Lin Suiying." King Chongming stood there, not knowing what it meant. King Wenel also vaguely guessed something. They had seen Lin Suiying doing some secret activities at the Infinite Altar before, and the two sides had a dispute at that time, and King Chongming was still depressed for a long time. Later, they heard that Lin Suiying went to another forbidden area. But at that time, they had no intention to care about these things, and they didn't know what Lin Suiying was doing in these forbidden areas. But in recent days, the 4 forbidden areas have been frequently affected by changes, and it is probably Lin Suiying and Su Xian who did it. And the mysterious existence above the sky was also awakened by the huge light column shot out from the 4 forbidden areas. As soon as the mysterious existence woke up, Su Xian and Lin Suiying appeared. And Lin Suiying lost her powerful cultivation for no reason. If there is no connection between them, they will definitely not believe it. He remembered that day Lin Suiying said that someone would always sacrifice on the road to light. The person Lin Suiying was talking about. Is it herself? Even though there are many inside stories that King Chongming cannot understand, he only has respect in his heart. Lin Suiying has carried so much. All the way to the end. In the end, it is the loss of a lifetime of hard work. A genius who once dominated his contemporaries, but now he has to spend his life as an ordinary person in this turbulent world. I am afraid that few people can accept it. At this moment, Lin Suiying is so calm. "King Shuiyu, Chongming apologizes to you." King Chongming bowed slightly and apologized. "I misunderstood you before. You are a heroine. I admire you." Lin Suiying also knew that King Chongming had guessed it, and smiled. "It's okay, it's all over." You and I are working hard for the human race. Some disagreements are normal. King Wenel on the side also sighed in his heart. Fate is playing tricks on people. King Bawang and Sun Xiaokong were even more sad, and felt that the master's wife should not be treated so unfairly. No wonder the teacher and the master's wife disappeared a few days ago. It turns out that they are really saving the world. Where are you going next? King Chongming asked. Go home, entertain the world, and get married. Su Xian only replied with a few simple words. King Chongming paused, then smiled and clasped his fists. Then I congratulate you two in advance on your happy marriage. Everyone is welcome to attend our wedding at that time. Su Xian smiled. Okay. King Chongming also admired Su Xian. Such a genius will definitely surpass the peak in the future, and is likely to become the strongest demigod in the history of Blue Star. At that time, as long as Su Xian says a word, women all over the world will definitely line up to marry him. It is rare that Su Xian is willing to announce to the world that he will marry Lin Suiying, who has become an ordinary person, at the moment when Lin Suiying is in the lowest mood. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 320. The fighting ceased. Everyone is waiting for the end of the shocking battle in the sky. Su Xian did not stay in the battlefield between the two realms. After completing an enlightenment for Sun Xiaokong and Miao Tian each, he returned to Dingai King City. Looking at the magnificent royal city from a distance, Lin Suiying's mood was indescribable. Su Xian carried her on his back and walked towards the royal city step by step. The king of Zhejiang, who was guarding the royal city, soon discovered Su Xian's return and was astonished. After not seeing him for several months, Su Xian's state was already very close to becoming a king. It's so scary. I'm afraid that by condensing the seeds of the world, I'll be able to reach the fruit realm soon. The king of Zhejiang was too embarrassed to greet Su Xian and watched from a distance in the governor's mansion. No. What happened to Shui King? As he got closer, he realized that Lin Suiying had no breath at all and had turned into an ordinary person. What happened to these two people? The king of Zhejiang was confused. While he was doubting, Su Xian had already carried Lin Suiying away and returned to Prince Shui's mansion. Xiao Suiying. As soon as they returned to Shuiyu Prince's mansion, Moira appeared in front of the two of them. She looked at Lin Suiying, who was lying on Su Xian's back with a weak expression, and seemed to understand something. Very distressed. Xiao Suiying has sacrificed so much along the way, but she still ends up in this situation. Moira, our mission is accomplished. Lin Suiying smiled, her mentality had already adjusted. She figured it out, it would be nice not to have to fight and kill in the future, and living as a husband and raising children would still be her life. You, Moira sighed, you are always in such a good state of mind. How is Xiao Li doing? Lin Suiying asked. She is still sleeping. Her current level has soared to the level of becoming a king. She is still in a state of growth. I don't know what she will become. Moira couldn't figure out where the little carp came from. Regarding Xiao Li's future, all she saw was chaos. Su Xian looked solemn. Xiao Li's breakthrough speed was faster than he imagined, and he had already become the king. The 0.1% blood source factor was too terrifying. The two came to Xiao Li's room. Looking over, Xiao Li was lying flat on a small pink bed, with the sledgehammer that had grown up with her standing next to her. She was still so cute, with little braids, a bright red face, a slight smile on her lips, and her eyelashes trembled slightly with her steady breathing. She seemed to know nothing about what was happening to her. Little carp. Lin Suiying stood there, happy and worried at the same time. I am happy that my daughter has finally grown up and no longer needs her protection. But she is worried that this excessive growth will involve her daughter in an unknown storm. It's fine. Su Xian hugged Lin Suiying and comforted him softly, as long as I am here, no matter what Xia Li becomes in the future, no one can hurt him. The world seeds in Su Xian's body are trembling. He can step into the realm of kingship at any time. By then the powerful power of the world in his body will be released, and he will have the confidence to fight against everything. At least in this Dingai King city, within the protective range of the world tree, he is invincible. Wait until she wakes up. Su Xian didn't know what happened to Xiao Li. Now that senior is still fighting with the demigods of Lowland Star in the sky. They can only let nature take its course. The two of them exited Xia Li's room and gently closed the door. Sapling. Su Xian's voice sounded in the heart of Yggdrasil. Master, Xiaoshu is here. Is there any way to restore Su Ying's cultivation base? Su Xian naturally didn't want Lin Suying to become an ordinary person. The reality is cruel. In today's era, ordinary people may be submerged in the wave of professionals at any time. As his wife, Lin Suying faced a crisis that an ordinary person could not bear. He could feel the loss and uneasiness in Su Ying's heart. Even if the other party tried his best to cover it up, they could not escape his eyes. Yes, World Sapling said without hesitation, Small Tree knows 3 methods. Say it quickly. Su Xian was delighted. The little sapling said, the first way is for you, Master, to use the power of the world to directly reshape the bones of King Shuiyu after you step into the king realm. However, this method will reduce the talent of King Shuiyu. Gather the power of the world to reshape the bones. Su Xian also knew that his current level was not high, so using this method to reshape Su Ying's bones would definitely not be as good as Su Ying's original bones. After all, Su Ying's teacher was at a much higher level than her. What about the second method? The second method is for you, Master, to find a suitable physique and transplant it to King Shuiyu. However, King Shuiyu is only an ordinary person now, so this approach is extremely risky. No. Su Xian immediately rejected the second method. He knew very well how risky the transplanted physique was. Zhang Mu almost didn't persevere at the beginning, let alone Su Ying, who is now just an ordinary person. There is a third method, which has the lowest risk and may even increase the upper limit of King Shuiyu, but it also has a high failure rate. The little sapling said solemnly, it will even have some impact on you, Master. What can I do? Su Xian didn't care, as the slight influence was not a big deal to him. The little tree can help you open up a special life world that will last for a short time. You can use this life world to let King Shuiyu comprehend the origin of the life world, and perhaps you can regenerate your roots. But there are 3 conditions for opening up this life world. First, King Shuiyu's own perception ability must not be bad, and the soul must be full. Second, your blood is needed to maintain this barrier. Third, using this secret technique will affect the growth cycle of the little tree, and it will require a lot of items containing the power of the chaotic world to make up for it. The world tree explained the conditions. Su Xian thought in his heart, and compared the 3 methods, he definitely preferred the last one. Although the first method is simple, that kind of root bone may not even be able to support Su Ying's breakthrough to become a marquis. There is no need to consider the second one. Although the third one has many conditions, it is more worth a try. He doesn't care about blood output and the cycle of the world tree. These 2 deficiencies can be made up. With the system, he is not afraid of squandering. He only has to worry about the first condition, keeping Su Ying's soul full and perceiving ability. As the realm faded, Su Ying's mental strength was far less than before, and her perception ability naturally became very weak. But this is not without a solution. Su Xian thought of something, the soul lamp. Lin Suying and the soul lamp had signed a contract, and the 2 complemented each other. As long as the soul crystal was burned, Su Ying's soul state could be kept full. As for perception, he could guide it personally. Su Ying. Su Xian smiled and called. Lin Suying looked at him, Why are you laughing suddenly? Let me play a game with you. Su Xian held her hand, and the power of the world continued to flow towards the two.